2025. This is Enterprise Resource Planning. Enterprise Resource Planning is brought to you, give me one moment, by Zayuk Smart Property System. Zayuk is a system that allows you to plan for infrastructure such as utilities, buildings, real estate, really anything. And we found that as we built our platform for HOAs and real estate, that there are similar protocols to what we've built in various other industries, such as power, the energy industry. I am a professional engineer in electrical engineering with depth in power. And as we were finding out what grid management companies or community choice aggregators needed, we found that they needed enterprise resource planning software, which is actually very similar in a sense to HOA management software. It manages budgets, it manages resources, it manages vendors, contracts, and work orders across invoices and stakeholders. So we will go through some articles and some current events in enterprise resource planning. Future scope of work. So this is by OpenPR. ERP software market presents a professional and complete analysis of global enterprise resource planning software market. Growth, consumption volume, market size. This is mostly about the growth in the industry over the next 7 years. International market, consumption, import and export consumption, supply and demand figures, various items. Types, manufacturing, retail, healthcare, construction, education, financial services, hospitality, automotive, applications, finance and accounting, supply chain management, human resources management, customer relationship management, inventory project, manufacturing resource planning, and business intelligence. New markets, significant financial investments. Firms tend to overcome this obstacle by using cutting-edge technology and managing prices. All right. We'll move on. This article is by CIO. What parts of ERP will be left after AI takes over? Co-pilots and agents transform ways employees interact with ERP systems, reducing much of the repetitive tasks. Process automation, predictive analytics, decision support, user experience, and adaptive learning. Automation, repetitive tasks and data entry, invoice processing, and financial reconciliations. Transaction matching and anomaly detection, freeing finance teams to focus on more strategic work. AI should help us through the silver tsunami, which is the great retirement of the boomer generation, which will stress the employment market significantly, and especially many of these industries which have trades that aren't widely adopted by younger generations. But even things like this, it's what used to take 5 or 10 different people, analysts over a long time, now can take AI a few minutes. Fast changes to ERP. Dynamic system of intelligence. And that the dynamic system of intelligence runs with the entire Web3 infrastructure platform, all the ideals that people like about Web3 management is this living context of what is going on in that system, whether that's a financial system for Zayuk, often that is a property based system, and having that historical context across budgets and transactions and distributions for ERP managers, we found is important. And for our original customers, which were HOAs, you had other aspects that also needed historical context, which similar to ERPs, contracts, budgets, work orders, invoices, payments, capital budgets, not just operational, but capital budgets as well, allocations and reserves, balances. These things are not obvious, and they're not simple either. They're not simple, especially when you have a large amount of infrastructure. IBM. AI as doesn't see AI as replacing ERP systems. Emerging ERP system will be collections of domain-specific AI agents that pull from ERP as a backend, not a control tower. One agent may be explain variances in the past month sales. Another may forecast procurement risk based on vendor behavior, and a third may write a board summary. And that's an interesting idea of what an agent is. We're not going to get into that. We'll move on. So, what is an ERP system? Comprehensive software solutions integrate and manage core processes across an organization. Seamless integration of core business functions such as finance, HR, manufacturing, supply chain, and customer relationship management. Real-time data sharing and collaboration across departments and geographical locations. Automation of routine tasks and complex workflows. Predictive analytics and data. Scalability to adopt to business growth and changing market conditions. Streamlining operations. These are a lot of the basic things. Here are the ones: asset management, tracking and management of physical assets throughout their life cycle, including maintenance, scheduling, and depreciation calculations. And this is how we, as Zayuk, and where our original vertical of homeowner associations that have the same issue, have the same problem or same requirements in asset management, having a reserves, having a capital management system, not just operational budgeting, but capital budgeting. So you know the life expectancy on various assets, the life cycles, when are they decaying, at what point, how much capital will we need at that point to handle that decay, how much capital do we have now, with that, how much capital do we need to input every year into the system to make sure we're able to hit these markers in 5, 10, 15, 30 years. It's very similar. There are specific aspects in both, depending on HOAs have the reserve study system that's widely adopted across the entire nation, and then we're now getting into the energy sector at Zayuk, and they have a different set of capital budgeting requirements and operational budgeting requirements that are more complex than in homeowner association, but similar protocols. And at the end of the day, what Zayuk does is take the information, distribute it across stakeholders in a low-cost integrated way. We'll continue. Oops. Okay. Types of ERP systems: on-prem, cloud-based, hybrid. And I think we can all figure out the differences between those. Supply chain management, CRM, manufacturing and production, digital twin integration, business intelligence and analytics, advanced data visualization, edge computing integration, project management. This is Zayuk. Environmental, social, and governance reporting, AI-powered project portfolio management, and AI. When you think of what NVIDIA is in digital twin, the AI will require a vision context. And the reason I say what NVIDIA is because it made a huge portion of its come up on graphic processors, graphic processing units, which widely used in the video game industry. And through that technology expertise, we're able to create GPUs, which are compatible with our AI systems that we know today in 2025, the ones we've been working with for the last 3 years, since ChatGPT came out in November 2022, or when it became viral, extremely viral. That was November 2022. And in that sense, vision context will be very powerful. And we've seen it in a couple of different systems, but not widely used yet in the way that it can be. I'm sure one obvious use case is autonomous vehicles. That's the best use case, and it's widely used. Okay, we'll continue. But there are a lot of other vision-based AI contexts that need to be deployed that don't just relate to driving a car. Want to dodge ERP disasters? Do your homework, get everyone on the same page, and lock in clear terms before you sign. This is by CIO. ERP and complex cloud system implementations are notorious for their high rates of failure and costly disputes. There was a time in our practice when deals were an overwhelming majority and disputes were a rare occurrence. These days, the demand for deals and dispute engagements is converging in number. While I would generally say that the dispute is not a dirty word, natural part in the technology development and tech-enabled services lifecycle, many of these disputes follow failures that have significant financial and operational ramifications for both parties. Timing imperative. Changes in technology have impacted how deals are done. 2 decades old shift from bespoke infrastructure to cloud and mass market applications. The shift from waterfall to agile and hybrid development frameworks caused technology to be deployed more rapidly, and more importantly, created the expectation that technology would be deployed more rapidly. And that's the expectation. Continuous integration, continuous deployment. You're always deploying, you're always integrating. It's a living software. I mean, you look at some of these softwares. Facebook has evolved so much. Apple Music has evolved so much. X, formerly Twitter. The Starbucks app. Their items, Instagram. These things need to improve constantly. They are living. They do not, if they sit idle, they will either be penetrated which I have another stream, InfoSec, information security. Now that we talk about these things, and additionally, I have and we speak about penetrations there. But if a malicious actor doesn't come, there will just be another software company that comes and eats yours. And I know people are touting AI, but we have yet to see anything close to an AI that's able to self-deploy. I mean, maybe you have some products like Replit or these other products, but to consider that it's tough. It's tough. It's really tough. As someone who owns a product owner, and a company that forms a large portion of our operation and services around that product, to think that my product would rely so heavily on another one, almost to the point where it's impossible to replace that stakeholder, is a huge risk. It's a huge risk because even when you say deploy on AWS, there's other cloud deployment software. You can, and if you understand how you're deployed there, you can modularize the whole system and change the various modules to deploy somewhere else if necessary. And you can do that for almost everything. There are a few stakeholders which you absolutely need. For example, if these, OpenAI, Facebook or Meta, Amazon, Google, Oracle, X at the moment all require XAI require NVIDIA, and so NVIDIA is I don't know, you don't call them bottleneck, but they are the necessary stakeholder, but that isn't always the case. And as a software owner, when you want to be able to have a replaceable, a redundant system. And to say you're going to abstract, and abstracting is important, abstracting away some things, because if you don't abstract everything away, you're going to lose. It's going to become a high cost issue. So there is a level to which you must abstract, but abstracting away your ability to add capability quickly, and I haven't used Replit, so I really shouldn't speak on it, and maybe if I use it, I'll change my opinion, but based off of some of the builders that I've used, it's difficult. It gets to a point where using the builder in itself is more complex to a certain degree, depending on your level of coding ability, than actually just coding in the system. Okay, we'll continue. Ohio planning a strategic modernization of its enterprise resource planning software. This was from January of this year. Ohio Today. Proceed with plans to modernize its ERP system. Deliver value across the university. That's Ohio University. Begin a collaborative process to select both ERP technology vendor and an implementation partner to serve as an expert advisor. And it should launch in January. Modernization matters. System encompasses more than 100 applications and touch of almost every aspect of Ohio's operations. Adaptability to change, improved user experience, better decision-making, increased effectiveness, enhanced security and resilience. Security and resilience is huge in these positions because of how important It's becoming too high of a cost for people to have bad infosec. Too much of a cost. All right, we'll continue. CAGR on ERP 8.5, 2025 to 2031. Estimated to hit 50 billion in 2024. Cloud-based ERP, integrate finance, supply chain, HR, and customer management. Forecasts indicate robust expansion of the cloud-based ERP market. All right. Valley Bank launches new ERP, enables clients to retrieve real-time balance and transaction information, powered by Cox's Treasury Gateway platform, provides Valley's clients with an alternative to expensive legacy file transfer systems and automates otherwise manual tasks. Okay. How soon, this is by Bain and Company, will agentic AI redefine enterprise resource planning? Fundamentally reshape ERP systems, and it will. I'm sure it already is, but it will more, especially through the vision context. Army Shared Services Center progresses with ERP planning and moves to PEO operational control. And the Army actually had a X-Tech Disrupt application that Zayuk has applied to. So we'll see how that works. I'm glad to hear that they had a ERP need. Consolidating contracts. All right. Army SSC support and sustainment of Army ERP systems in transition strategies and ever-changing domain. Expertise and capabilities in business process reengineering, data strategy, system architecture, and application integration. Again, and I would say this is such a widespread issue, the silver tsunami, and it's going to affect a lot of government agencies, not just in the United States, but across the world, where you're going to be working at no, I don't know what number, but it's going to be a fraction. Let me just ask Claude. I just asked, what will the workage shortage be across the world due to the silver tsunami over the next 20 years? And government agencies and many of these utility companies that in the United States have been around as we know them for more or less 80 years have many older employees. And as they retire, it's going to stress out the economy. Shortage of 85 million people by 2030, costing the global economy $8.5 trillion in unrealized annual revenues. 85 million. US 6 million worker deficit. China up to 12 million worker shortage. Russia up to 6 million. Japan, Indonesia, Brazil each facing up to 18 million. That's huge, those three. Demographics. Population growth will slow from 1.1% per year to basically zero. With the average world population projected to increase by 11 years between 2020 and the end of the century. That seems it's a little too far off. Okay, well, we're getting the issue. And I mostly wanted to just talk about it in context of the next 5 or 10 years, where there's not even 5 to 20 years where there's going to be some serious worker shortages across the world. Okay, and especially for us in the United States in our government sectors. Multiple contracts for various ERP systems that were expensive and lacked a unified approach to maintaining the ERPs. ERPs based on the same underlying technology. Exactly. That just said it. The same underlying technology. And that's why for us, getting into ERP software is pretty much the same as HOA management software was. Maybe you don't have your CRM or HR services, but the same idea of managing these infrastructure pieces, the protocols that we're going to use, especially when they're decentralized, which whether you're in a utility, whether you're in an HOA, even in fractional real estate, we're going to see this where fractional real estate owners are going to want a more streamlined set of protocols to view how their assets are being managed. And of course, all stakeholders have reason to give me one moment. To handle their systems their own way, stakeholders, but there's going to be an ability to streamline the information. It's Web3 protocols. It's decentralization. It's a lack of transparency inherent to the new networking systems we all work with. There is no privacy anymore. There is only transparency. And for some people, they don't understand that, but it's very true. So needs user-friendly, PEO enterprise shifted from waterfall to agile, significant overhaul, significantly improved its system monitoring process, moving away from having technical experts watching a screen, new tools. Army SSC's mission to centralize ERP support teams and standardize tools and processes now firmly in hand. All right. This is from Web. Transnet upgrades ERP system to SAP S/4HANA. Transnet, South Africa's state-owned rail, ports, and pipeline company, has migrated its ERP system to EC 6.0 from ECC 6.0 to SAP S/4HANA. SAP's latest ERP software suite, built on the company's HANA in-memory database, enabling real-time data processing, advanced analytics, and integration of intelligent technologies like AI and machine learning. Digital operations, managing everything from finance and HR to sales and supply chain. Modernization program is a strategic initiative formulated by program with a focus on Transnet port terminals. STEP aligns with SOC's ongoing digital transformation agenda and marks a pivotal moment for the organization. All right. ERP everywhere. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully, you enjoyed speaking about ERP software and infrastructure planning. This was brought to you by Zayuk. Zayuk is a smart property system. We handle inspections, we handle ERP software, management software of large scale assets. Reach out to us in case you need any questions or any issues or anything regarding ERP. Thank you so much.